It is evening, and the world rests beneath a wide and watchful sky. The hills are quiet, the roads dim with dust, and the hearts of many are turned inward as lamps are lit one by one. In the stillness, time itself seems to pause, as though listening. The wind softens its voice, and the earth waits. If you're listening in peace tonight, share your city in the hour below. It's good to know who walks this quiet path together. And if you'd like, leave a short prayer in the comments. Someone, somewhere, will see it and pray with you. And it comes to pass in those days that a word goes out across the breadth of the land. It is spoken from high places and carried by messengers along stone roads and through narrow streets. The decree moves like a tide, unseen yet irresistible, touching villages and cities alike. Each household hears it, and each name is called back to its beginning. The world stirs, not knowing why, only knowing that it must respond. Men pause in their work. Women lift their eyes from daily tasks. The old remember places long left behind, and the young prepare for journeys they do not yet understand. The command is simple, yet its reach is vast. Each must go to be counted, to stand where their story first took root, and so the land begins to move, as though guided by a hand, gentle but sure. Among those who hear is a man named Joseph, steady of step and quiet of spirit. He listens without protest, his heart already trained to obedience. Beside him stands Mary, with child, her frame slight, yet bearing a mystery deeper than the night sky above her. She does not speak of the weight she carries, for words have long since fallen short. She holds her trust as one holds a flame against the wind. The decree does not know them, yet it calls them. It does not see the child hidden from sight, yet it makes room for his coming. What is spoken by rulers for their own ends bends gently into a greater purpose, like a river guided by unseen banks. Power believes it commands the moment, but the moment itself belongs to another. After these things, the roads begin to fill. Sandaled feet press into earth, worn smooth by generations. Carts creak under the weight of household goods and memories. Voices rise and fall, mingling with the lowing of animals and the cries of children. Each traveler carries a name, a lineage, a past that draws them forward, even as the future waits behind a veil. Joseph gathers what is needed and leaves what must be left. He takes Mary by the hand, and together they step onto the road. The journey is not explained to them, yet they go. The sky stretches wide above, blue by day and deep with stars by night, as if bearing witness to their faithfulness. Each step is small, yet each step is held within a design too vast to measure. Mary rides quietly, her thoughts moving like water in a deep well. She feels the nearness of the child, the steady reminder of a promise spoken long ago. Her body knows weariness, but her soul rests in a strange and steady peace. She remembers words carried on angel breath, and though the road is hard, her heart is not afraid. The land through which they pass does not recognize them. Inns fill and empty. Fields lie waiting for harvest. Shepherds tend flocks, unaware that the night itself is preparing to speak. Above it all, the decree continues its work, counting bodies and names, unaware that it has already served its highest purpose. As they travel, darkness and light take turns guiding them. Dawn breaks softly, painting the hills with pale gold. Evening falls again, cool and blue, wrapping the travelers in silence. Fires glow in the distance, marking other journeys, other obediences. The world moves as one, drawn toward places long forgotten and newly remembered. There is no urgency in their steps, yet there is no delay. Time unfolds as it must. The child does not hurry, nor does he linger. The fullness of all things is already set, and the road bends toward it with quiet certainty. Even the stones beneath their feet seem to know where they are going. Joseph watches Mary when she thinks no one sees. He reads the strength in her stillness and the cost hidden in her breath. He does not understand all that is happening, yet he stands beside it, faithful in the mystery. His silence is a kind of prayer, offered with each mile they pass. The decree, written in ink and sealed with authority, believes itself complete when names are recorded and numbers tallied. Yet its true work is only beginning. It has set the stage for a meeting between heaven and earth, between promise and flesh. Without knowing, it has cleared a path for the light to enter quietly, without fanfare or force. And so, the journey continues, ordinary in appearance, eternal in consequence. The world does not tremble, yet all of history leans forward. The sky does not split, yet it watches closely. Angels wait, shepherds sleep, and a city called Bethlehem rests unaware that it is about to become more than a place. The night deepens, and the road stretches on. Dust clings to garments, and breath rises in the cool air. Each step carries them nearer to what has been prepared since the first dawn. The decree fades into the background, having done its part, while the promise draws closer, quiet and sure. In this movement of people and purpose, there is no chaos, only a gentle ordering. What seems imposed from above becomes an offering from below. Obedience opens doors unseen. Faithfulness makes room where none appears. And the world, restless yet guided, moves toward a moment that will change its very breathing. The stars shine steadily, ancient and patient. They have watched kingdoms rise and fall, and now they watch a carpenter and a young woman walking beneath them. The decree has spoken, the road has answered, and the night holds its breath. What begins as command will become gift. What moves the masses will shelter the small. And in the quiet obedience of two hearts, the first notes of peace begin to sound, soft as footsteps on a darkened road, carrying the promise of dawn yet to come. The road bends southward and then east, threading between hills that rise and fall like slow breaths of the earth. Joseph leads with measured steps, attentive to the way before them, while Mary follows, carried by patience and resolve. The journey lengthens, not only in distance but in meaning, as each mile loosens them from what is familiar and draws them toward what is promised. The sky opens wide above them. By day, it is clear and vast, washed in pale blue, as though nothing could be hidden beneath it. By night, it deepens into a bowl of shadowed light, strewn with stars that seem closer than before. Mary lifts her eyes often, not seeking answers, but finding comfort in the unchanging rhythm of heaven. The same stars watched Abraham walk by faith, and now they watch her. They pass others along the way, travelers bound for their own beginnings. Some walk in groups, speaking loudly to ease the strain of travel. Others move in silence, weighed down by memory or worry. A few glance at Mary with curiosity or concern, but no one stops. Each has a road to follow, a name to answer, a duty to complete. The world moves alongside them, unaware of the nearness of mystery. Joseph adjusts his pace to Mary's strength. He knows the journey presses upon her body, yet he sees also the steadiness within her. She does not complain, nor does she hasten. Her steps are careful, grounded, as though she walks not only upon the earth, but within a promise. When they rest, She places her hand upon her belly, not to shield herself, but to acknowledge the life entrusted to her. At times, the road narrows, hemmed in by stone and thorn. At other times, it opens into fields, where grasses sway and the wind speaks softly through them. Birds rise and settle again, indifferent to the passing of travelers. The land receives all footsteps without distinction, yet it seems to know which ones carry hope. After these things, the light shifts as the sun lowers and shadows lengthen across the path. Joseph seeks a place to pause, a hollow in the hills or a stand of trees that might offer shelter. As evening gathers, fires appear in the distance, small points of warmth against the cooling air. The smell of smoke drifts toward them, mingling with the scent of earth and stone. They stop where they can, sharing simple food and water. Joseph speaks little, saving his words for what is necessary. Mary listens, and when she speaks, her voice is calm, unhurried. There is no fear in it, only a quiet attentiveness, as though she listens even while she speaks. Between them, silence is not empty, but full, shaped by trust. The night settles around them like a cloak. Sounds grow fewer, more distinct. An owl calls from somewhere unseen. Insects hum softly, keeping time. Mary rests, her breathing slow and even, while Joseph keeps watch. He looks toward the road ahead, though it disappears into darkness. He does not know what awaits them in Bethlehem, only that they must arrive. In his heart, questions rise and fall like distant hills. He remembers the words spoken to him in a dream, words that asked him to trust beyond understanding. He has trusted, and still he trusts. Each step affirms his choice, even as it costs him certainty. He watches Mary sleep and feels both the weight and the gift of what they carry together. Before dawn, the cold deepens, and Joseph stirs the fire. Mary wakes as the sky begins to pale, a thin line of light forming at the horizon. She sits quietly, watching the day be born. The child within her stirs, and she closes her eyes, breathing deeply. The moment is small, yet it feels held, as though heaven leans close. When they rise again, the road greets them without ceremony. Dust clings to their feet, and the path bears the marks of many who have gone before. Bethlehem lies ahead, still unseen, nestled among hills like a thought waiting to be spoken. The name carries weight, though neither speaks it aloud. As they walk, the world around them continues its ordinary life. Shepherds guide flocks toward grazing. Farmers tend fields, preparing for seasons yet to come. Children run and laugh, their voices bright against the morning air. Life unfolds as it always has, unaware that it brushes against eternity. Mary's thoughts move gently, not racing ahead. She does not imagine what the city will offer or deny. She holds only what has been given her to hold: trust, obedience, and a heart open to God's unfolding will. She remembers the words spoken long ago, how the Mighty One has done great things, how the lowly are lifted. Those words are not distant now. They walk beside her. Joseph glances toward her often, as if to assure himself she is still near. Each time, he finds her steady, her gaze forward, her presence anchoring his own. Together they form a quiet witness, unseen and unremarkable, yet bound to the turning of the ages. The sun climbs higher, warming the air and easing the chill. The road becomes busier as they draw nearer to the town. Voices grow louder, footsteps more frequent. Bethlehem begins to reveal itself, not yet in sight, but in the press of travelers and the narrowing of space. The journey's end approaches, though its shape remains hidden. In these final miles, Weariness settles more deeply into their bodies. Yet with it comes a sense of arrival, not only to a place, but to a moment prepared long before their steps touched the road. The world has made room through movement and obedience, through countless small choices aligned toward a single hour. As the hills rise and fall around them, Mary feels a quiet stirring, not of urgency, but of readiness. Joseph feels it too, though he cannot name it. Something is near, as close as breath, as gentle as light at dawn. The road has done its work, carrying them faithfully. The city waits, unaware, wrapped in stone and routine. The night will fall again, and with it, the fullness of time will draw closer still. For now, they walk on, hearts aligned with heaven's pace, steps guided by a promise that does not shout, but calls softly, steadily, onward. Bethlehem comes into view at last, set among the hills as though cradled by the earth itself. Its walls and roofs catch the fading light, and the narrow streets beyond them seem already filled with the breath and footfall of many. The town bears the weight of its own history, old stones remembering ancient songs. Yet it does not know what approaches. It stands as towns have always stood, busy with ordinary need, unaware of the extraordinary hour drawing near. Joseph and Mary enter with the others, moving with the flow of travelers. Voices overlap in the air, questions, greetings, impatience, laughter, each sound carried quickly through close quarters. Animals shift and stamp, carts scrape against stone, and the scent of smoke and cooking drifts from doorways and courtyards. The town is full, pressed by those who have come to be counted, to set their names in the ledgers of men. Joseph keeps Mary close, his hand steady, his eyes scanning for a place of rest. Mary's steps are slower now, not from unwillingness, but from the nearness of what is to come. She breathes carefully, feeling the weight of the child and the quiet insistence of time. The world around her seems loud, yet within her there is a stillness, as though God has made a sanctuary in her body. After these things, the sun lowers and shadows deepen in the streets. The hour of evening settles over Bethlehem, yet the town does not quiet. Lamps are lit, doors open and close. Households stretch to make room, and still there is not enough. Travelers seek shelter with increasing urgency, and those who live within the town feel the strain of so many arriving at once. Joseph knocks, asks, waits. Faces appear, some kind, some weary, some indifferent. A few offer directions to another place, another door. Others shake their heads and close up again, not out of cruelty, but out of fullness and limitation. Rooms that might have held strangers are already crowded with family. Corners that might have offered rest are already claimed. The town feels tight, as though every wall is drawn inward. Mary remains quiet. She does not accuse the closed doors. She does not beg. Her eyes lift now and then, meeting Joseph's gaze with a calm that steadies him. She knows, though she cannot explain, that the Most High is not hindered by human lack. The promise was never dependent upon comfort. It was never waiting for ease. It is arriving, even here. Joseph feels the pressure of responsibility, the weight of finding shelter before night deepens. He thinks of Mary's strength and of its limits. He thinks of the child, unseen yet near. His heart tightens when another door closes, yet he does not turn bitter. He continues, step after step, question after question, as one who has learned to trust even when the path narrows. The streets grow colder as the light fades. Somewhere a baby cries, and the sound carries through stone passages like a reminder of life's tenderness. Somewhere a family sings softly to ease the restlessness of children. Somewhere an animal snorts, shifting in its stall. Bethlehem is crowded with small human needs, and beneath them all, an unseen need rises. The world's longing for light. In the press of the town, Joseph hears fragments of conversation. People speaking of the census, of Rome, of inconvenience, of travel. He hears complaints and jokes, resignation and impatience. None speak of prophecy. None mention angels. None expect that the Holy One is already at their threshold. And yet, even their words serve the moment, like reeds bending before a coming wind. At last, a place is found, not a room bright with comfort, not a bed prepared and clean, but shelter enough. It is a space near where animals are kept, where the air carries the scent of hay and the warmth of living bodies. The ground is hard, the walls plain, yet there is a kind of mercy in it, a roof, a corner, a pause from the cold. Joseph brings Mary there carefully. The sounds of the town soften, muffled by stone and distance. In this place, the world feels farther away. The night settles in, and with it, the sense that the hour is near. Mary sits, breathing deeply. Her face is calm, but her body knows the turning of time. The child within her presses closer to the world, ready to be revealed. And heaven, though unseen, is not distant. The air itself seems attentive. The shadows lean in as though listening. The stars above Bethlehem burn steady, ancient witnesses to the promise given long ago to David, to the prophets, to those who waited for redemption. The fullness of time is not announced with trumpets. It is carried quietly into a humble shelter, into the faithful obedience of a young woman and a man who stands beside her. After these things, Mary feels the first stronger waves of labor, like the sea drawing toward shore. She does not resist. She receives each moment as it comes, breathing, yielding, trusting. Joseph stays near, his hands ready, his heart steadying itself in prayer. He cannot take the pain from her, but he can be present within it. He offers what he has, attention, care, and a love shaped by obedience. The night deepens. Outside, Bethlehem continues its routines, unaware. Inside, the world is about to change in silence. Mary's breaths come slower, then stronger. She closes her eyes and holds to the promise. There is no shouting, no display, only the sacred labor of life entering life. The time arrives, as all appointed times arrive, quietly, inevitably, held in God's hands. And when the child comes, the air seems to soften, as though creation itself receives him with reverence. A cry rises, small and human, yet carrying a weight that the heavens recognize. The Son is born, not to a throne, but to a manger's nearness, not to acclaim, but to quiet, not to power, but to love. Mary gathers him close. Her arms, weary and trembling, become the first cradle of the incarnate Word. She looks at his face, and though she cannot understand all, she knows the holiness of what she holds. She wraps him in cloth, simple and clean, as any mother would. Yet every motion feels like worship. Joseph watches, his eyes filled with wonder too deep for speech. The child lies there, small, dependent, breath rising and falling. The one who formed breath now breathes. The one who holds the stars is held in human arms. The mystery is not explained, it is given. And in that humble shelter, the fullness of time rests in flesh. The night holds its silence. The town sleeps. The earth turns as it always has, yet something within it has shifted forever. The lamp's glow trembles against the walls. Straw rustles softly. Mary's breathing steadies, her heart filled and overwhelmed. Joseph remains near, guarding the quiet miracle. Outside, the wind moves through the hills, carrying no announcement, only the gentle sound of creation continuing. But heaven has heard. The angels are already near. The fields are waiting. The first ripples of joy begin to move outward, though the town does not yet know. In the stillness of Bethlehem, the light has entered, and it shines without noise, preparing to be seen. The night presses close around the small shelter, holding its warmth and its quiet. The town beyond remains full, its rooms crowded, its hearths glowing with the ordinary life of families and travelers. Laughter drifts from some doorways, weariness from others. Bethlehem rests within itself, unaware that what it could not contain has already found a place. There was no room among the gathered crowds, no space shaped by comfort or ease. Doors had closed gently and firmly, each according to its limit. Yet here, where animals are kept, and the floor is rough beneath foot and knee, there is a welcome of another kind. Not spoken, not planned, but made ready through humility and need. The world's refusal becomes the setting for God's nearness. Joseph clears a space with careful hands. He gathers straw, arranging it into something softer, something fit to receive life. Each motion is simple, yet weighted with reverence. He does not resent the lack. He works within it, shaping care from what is available. His obedience has brought him here, and now his service continues, quiet and faithful. Mary rests after the labor, her body spent, her spirit awake. She holds the child close, feeling the warmth of his small frame against her own. His breathing is light, steady, newly joined to the rhythm of the world. She gazes at him, not searching for answers, but receiving the gift placed in her arms. The wonder is not loud. It settles like dew upon her heart. There is a manger nearby, meant for feed, worn smooth by time and use. Joseph lines it with straw, making it clean, making it ready. He lifts the child gently, his movements careful, as though the air itself might bruise him. Mary watches, her hands lingering, reluctant to release what she has just received. Yet she trusts. She always has. The child is laid there, wrapped and resting, his face turned slightly toward the light. The manger holds him without question, without judgment. Wood and straw become his first throne, poverty his first shelter. The world has offered what it could, and heaven accepts it fully. Around them, the animals shift quietly, their presence warm and steady. They do not marvel, nor do they fear. They breathe and stand and lie down, unaware that their nearness fulfills ancient words. Creation, in its simplest form, makes room where humanity could not. Breath and body share the space, and peace settles among them. After these things, silence deepens. The sounds of the town fade further into the distance. Even the animals grow still, as though sensing the weight of the moment. Mary adjusts the cloth around the child, her fingers brushing his cheek. He stirs slightly, then rests again. The smallest movements feel vast, as though eternity has chosen to speak through them. Joseph sits nearby, his back against the wall, his eyes never leaving the child. He thinks of all that has led them here, the decree, the road, the closed doors. None of it feels wasted now. Each step, each refusal, has carried them closer to this hidden center, where heaven and earth meet without spectacle. There is no crowd to witness this birth, no trumpet to announce it. The world's greatest gift enters quietly, entrusted first to those who have learned to listen in silence. The lack of room becomes a sign itself, that God comes not where he is expected, but where he is welcomed. Mary's heart overflows, yet she keeps its treasures inward. She does not speak much. Words feel too small. She lets the moment shape her, imprinting itself upon her memory like a seal. She knows she will return to this night again and again, drawing strength from its humility and peace. The manger, low and plain, becomes a place of meeting. Heaven stoops, earth lifts its gaze. The child lies between them, bridging what had been separated. No one outside the shelter notices. No one pauses in the street. And yet the center of all things has shifted, quietly, irrevocably. Time moves gently here. The hours pass without urgency. Mary rests when she can, waking often to check the child's breath, to feel his warmth. Joseph keeps watch, alert and calm. He listens to the night sounds, the wind moving along the walls, the distant murmur of the town, the soft rustle of straw. Each sound feels held within a larger silence. The lack that marked their arrival does not define this place now. What was empty has been filled. What was overlooked has become holy. The shelter, humble and unremarkable, holds a presence greater than temples and palaces. The light does not demand more. It sanctifies what is given. Outside, the stars continue their courses, unaware that the one who set them in place now rests beneath their glow. The hills remain dark, the fields quiet. Shepherds keep watch, not knowing that their vigil mirrors another unfolding nearby. All is as it was, and yet nothing is the same. Mary watches the child sleep. His face is peaceful, his brow smooth. She traces the shape of his hand with her eyes, marveling at its smallness. She knows that this hand will one day touch the sick, bless the broken, lift the fallen. But for now, it curls softly, grasping nothing, trusting completely. Joseph shifts closer, drawn by a love he is still learning to name. He feels the weight of his calling, yet it no longer frightens him. The presence of the child steadies him, grounds him. He understands now, not with his mind, but with his heart, that faithfulness has brought him exactly where he must be. The night does not hurry them. It wraps the shelter in patience. The lack of room elsewhere has given birth to room within, space for wonder, for surrender, for the quiet unfolding of God's will. In this low place, the highest gift rests. As the hours move toward dawn, the air grows cooler, and the first hint of morning begins to touch the sky. Mary draws the cloth closer around the child. Joseph rises to tend the fire. Life continues in its simple rhythms, now infused with a sacred weight. The manger remains still, holding its treasure. The town sleeps on. Heaven watches. And humility, having prepared a hidden welcome, becomes the doorway through which peace has entered the world, gentle and unannounced, ready to be revealed in its time. The child rests where feet is placed, where animals come and go, where hands expect nothing sacred. The manger holds him without knowing why, yet it does so faithfully. Straw cradles his small body, and the cloth wrapped around him keeps the night's chill at bay. His breath rises and falls, soft and sure, each breath a quiet affirmation that life has entered fully into the world. Mary sits close, her body still weary, her spirit attentive. She leans toward the manger, drawn by a love that feels both new and ancient. She studies the child's face in the low light, tracing its lines with her gaze. His eyes are closed, his features calm, untouched by the world's weight. She wonders at the contrast, this smallness holding such promise, this fragility bearing such strength. Joseph watches from nearby, his hands resting loosely in his lap. He has done all that was asked of him, yet he feels he has only begun. The child before him is not his by flesh, yet entrusted to him by God. The responsibility settles gently upon him, not as a burden, but as a calling shaped by love and obedience. He feels a quiet resolve take root within him. After these things, the shelter seems to grow warmer, as though the presence of the child draws all warmth toward itself. The animals stir softly, their breath visible in the cool air. One shifts closer, another settles down again. There is no disturbance, no fear. Creation accepts its guest without question, offering what comfort it can. Mary reaches out and adjusts the cloth, careful not to wake the child. Her fingers brush his skin, and she pauses, overcome by the simplicity of the moment. This touch, so ordinary, feels holy. She does not speak. Her heart speaks for her, holding gratitude, awe, and a trembling joy that feels almost too large to contain. The manger, worn and splintered, becomes a place of rest unlike any other. It does not shine. It does not draw attention. Yet it holds the one through whom all things were made. Wood supports flesh. Straw bears the weight of glory. The ordinary becomes the meeting place of heaven and earth. Joseph rises and tends to the small fire, feeding it gently. The flame flickers, casting shifting shadows along the walls. The light dances across the child's face for a moment, then settles. Joseph watches the flame and thinks of the light spoken of by prophets, the light that would come into darkness. He looks back at the manger and knows that light has already arrived, quiet and unafraid. The hours pass slowly, measured not by clocks, but by breath and watchfulness. Mary rests, then wakes again. Joseph sits, then stands. The child sleeps, then stirs. Each movement feels significant, though nothing outward changes. Time itself seems to bow, stretching to make room for the sacred. Outside, the night deepens. The town remains unaware, wrapped in its own concerns and rest. No announcement breaks the silence. No messenger knocks at the door. The gift is given without witness, entrusted to humility and faith. God does not force the world to see. He waits to be received. Mary's thoughts drift gently, not to the future's demands, but to the mystery of the present. She remembers the words spoken to her long ago, how the child would be great, how he would be called the Son of the Most High. Those words feel distant now, softened by the reality of his nearness. Titles and promises give way to breath and warmth, to the simple truth that he is here. Joseph returns to his place near the manger. He kneels for a moment, not from obligation, but from an impulse that rises unbidden. He lowers his head, offering thanks without words. The silence receives his prayer. The child sleeps on, unaware of the reverence he inspires. The manger stands as a sign, though no one yet reads it. It speaks of God's way, choosing what is low, entering what is plain, resting where none would expect. It proclaims without sound that nothing is beneath his reach, that no place is too small to hold his presence. Mary leans back against the wall, her eyes closing briefly. Even in rest, she remains attentive. Her heart stays awake, guarding the wonder entrusted to her. She feels the world's weight and its hope meet within her, and she holds both without resistance. Joseph listens to the quiet around them. The wind brushes the outer walls. Somewhere nearby, a door closes softly. Life continues, unaware. Yet here, within this humble space, the center of all things rests in stillness. The child stirs again, a small movement, a faint sound. Mary leans forward at once, ready, responsive. She lifts him gently, holding him close, feeling his warmth against her chest. He settles quickly, comforted by her presence. The exchange is simple, instinctive, yet it carries the shape of all future grace. God reaching out, humanity responding. As she holds him, Mary feels a deep peace settle over her, heavier than sleep, lighter than breath. She does not know all that lies ahead, but she knows this moment is enough. The promise has taken form. The word has become flesh. Love has drawn near. Joseph watches them, his heart full. He sees in this quiet scene a strength greater than any power he has known. The world's might lies beyond these walls, counted and measured by rulers. Here, another kind of power rests, gentle, patient, unassuming, yet unshakable. The night continues its slow turning. Stars keep their watch. The manger holds its treasure. And in this hidden place, the child lies, breathing peace into the world, one quiet moment at a time, preparing hearts and fields and skies for the song that will soon rise. Mary remains near the manger as the night deepens, her posture gentle, her presence steady. She has learned already that stillness can be a form of listening. The child rests again, his small chest rising and falling, with a rhythm that seems to echo the breathing of the world itself. Each breath draws Mary further into wonder, not sharp or overwhelming, but deep and enduring. She keeps all these things within her, not arranging them yet, not seeking their meaning. She lets them be as they are, gathered like seeds in the soil of her heart. The angel's words, the journey, the closed doors, the manger, the child's face, all are held together without explanation. She senses that time will draw them into understanding. But for now, they are simply kept. Joseph moves quietly about the shelter, careful not to disturb the peace that is settled there. He gathers small tasks to himself, as though tending the ordinary helps him remain grounded in the extraordinary. He straightens what little can be straightened, checks the fire, listens to the sounds beyond the walls. In his attentiveness, he offers his own kind of devotion. After these things, Mary shifts slightly, easing her body against the wall. The labor has passed, but its memory remains in her muscles, a reminder of the cost of bringing life into the world. Yet the pain does not linger as sorrow. It has already begun to transform, becoming part of a larger story she senses but cannot yet name. She looks again at the child, memorizing the curve of his cheek, the shape of his mouth. She wonders how such a small life can carry such weight, how heaven can rest so quietly among straw and stone. She does not ask these questions aloud. She lets them rest in silence, trusting that silence, too, has its answers. The night outside grows colder, and Joseph draws closer to the fire. The flame responds, flickering brighter, then settling again. Light and shadow play along the walls, and for a moment, Mary imagines that the light itself pauses when it touches the child, as though recognizing its source. She thinks of the words spoken to her long ago, how the Lord has looked upon her lowliness, how generations would call her blessed. Those words feel distant now, not because they are untrue, but because they are too large to grasp in this moment. She is simply a mother, present with her child, faithful in what is given. The animals shift again, hooves scraping softly, breath steaming in the cool air. Their presence feels steady, grounding. Mary senses no barrier between sacred and ordinary here. Everything shares the same space, the same breath. Heaven has not displaced earth. It has joined it. Joseph sits beside her, close enough that their shoulders nearly touch. They do not speak. Words would only disturb what has been entrusted to them. Their silence is shared, woven from trust and awe. Together, they watch the child sleep, each holding their own questions, their own gratitude. Time passes unnoticed. The hours stretch gently, as though unwilling to hurry this first night. Mary feels herself growing quieter within, her thoughts slowing, her heart deepening. She does not feel the need to guard the moment. It feels already held, already secure. At times, she closes her eyes and listens, not for voices or signs, but for the simple sounds of life continuing. The crackle of the fire, Joseph's breathing, the faint stir of animals, the child's soft exhale. Each sound anchors her in the present, reminding her that God's promise has entered fully into the rhythms of human life. She senses that this night will return to her again and again, not only in memory, but in spirit. It will be a place of return when the path ahead grows difficult, when words spoken now in peace unfold into challenge and cost. She does not yet know how, but she knows this night will remain a well from which she will draw. Joseph shifts slightly, stretching his legs. He looks at Mary, then at the child, his gaze tender, protective. He feels the weight of what lies ahead, though it remains undefined. Yet he also feels a strength that surprises him, as though faithfulness itself has become a shelter around them. Outside, Bethlehem sleeps. The town that could not make room rests without disturbance. No one senses that the heart of the world beats nearby, steady and small. Lamps burn low, then go out. Dogs curl against the cold. The streets grow quiet. Above it all, the sky remains clear. Stars hold their places, ancient and patient. Mary glances upward, through the opening of the shelter, tracing familiar patterns. She feels a connection stretching backward through generations, through promises spoken and awaited. She is not alone in this moment. She stands within a long line of hope. The child stirs once more, a small sound escaping him. Mary leans forward instinctively, lifting him again, cradling him against her. His warmth spreads into her, and she feels her own breath slow to match his. In this closeness, the world narrows to what is essential: presence, trust, love. She hums softly, not a song she has chosen, but one that rises naturally, shaped by comfort and care. The sound is low, almost lost in the night, yet it carries meaning beyond itself. It is a mother's response to the gift she has been given, an offering without words. Joseph watches, his heart full. He recognizes that this quiet exchange holds more power than any decree or command. Here, in the simple act of holding and being held, the future begins to take shape. Mary settles back again, placing the child once more in the manger. She arranges the cloth carefully, her hands lingering. She commits the moment to her heart, sealing it there. She does not know what tomorrow will bring, but she knows that tonight has been enough. The fire dims slightly, and Joseph adds a small piece of wood. The flame responds, then steadies. The shelter remains quiet, held between night and dawn. The world waits, though it does not yet know for what. Mary rests her head back, eyes open, watching the shadows shift. She feels a deep peace settle over her, not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of God within it. She keeps these things, all of them, letting them take root. And in that keeping, the story deepens, preparing to unfold beyond this night, carried forward by hearts willing to remember, to trust, and to ponder what God has done in quiet places. Beyond the clustered roofs and narrow streets of Bethlehem, the land opens into fields shaped by long use and patient care. Low hills roll gently beneath the night sky, and the grasses move softly when the wind passes through them. Here, away from the press of the town, shepherds keep watch over their flocks, gathered together against the cold and the quiet. They are men accustomed to waiting. Their lives are measured by seasons, by weather, by the needs of animals entrusted to them. Night after night, they learn the language of stillness, the difference between silence and danger, between peace and threat. Their eyes are trained to notice small movements, their ears to catch distant sounds. They sit and stand and walk slowly among the sheep, guiding, guarding, enduring. The sheep lie close together, their bodies forming small islands of warmth on the dark ground. From time to time, one stirs, and another answers with a low sound. The shepherds move calmly among them, staffs in hand, voices low. There is no hurry here, only vigilance shaped by patience. After these things, the night deepens further, and the sky stretches wide and clear above them. Stars shine with a steady brilliance, untroubled by the concerns of earth. The shepherds glance upward now and then, not in wonder, but in familiarity. The heavens have always been their companion. They know the patterns well, the slow turning that marks the hours. They speak quietly among themselves, sharing simple words to keep the long watch from growing heavy. They talk of the flocks, of the weather, of the census that has crowded the town beyond the hills. Some complain gently of the inconvenience, others shrug. The affairs of rulers feel distant here, softened by the open field and the breathing of sheep. One shepherd steps away briefly, scanning the edges of the field. Another tends a small fire, coaxing its light to last through the night. The flames flicker low, casting brief shadows across faces lined by sun and wind. These men are not learned, not powerful. Their days are spent outdoors, their nights awake. Yet their watchfulness is complete. Nothing escapes their care. The field holds a deep quiet, broken only by the natural sounds of night. Insects hum. A breeze passes. Somewhere far off, a dog barks once, then falls silent again. The shepherds settle into the rhythm of it, bodies alert, minds steady. This is a night like many others, unmarked, unremarkable, and yet unseen to them. The air itself is changing. They do not notice it at first. There is no sound, no warning, only a subtle shift, as though the darkness has drawn back slightly, making room. One shepherd pauses, his head lifting, a feeling stirring that he cannot name. Another turns slowly, sensing something beyond sight. Then suddenly, light breaks forth. It does not rise like dawn, nor flicker like fire. It appears fully formed, surrounding them, brighter than any flame, purer than any star. The field is filled with it, every blade of grass outlined, every shadow undone. The night is no longer able to hide itself. The shepherds recoil instinctively, hearts pounding, bodies tensing. Fear rises swiftly, sharp and immediate. They have known danger before, wolves, storms, thieves. But this is different. This is not a threat they can face with staff or stone. It is overwhelming, unexplainable, near. An angel of the Lord stands among them, radiant and still. The light that surrounds him seems not cast, but present, as though it belongs to him, and yet comes from beyond him. The shepherds shield their eyes, some falling to their knees, others frozen where they stand. Their fear is complete, stripping away all pretense of control. The sheep stir and press together, unsettled by the sudden brilliance. Their low sounds mingle with the quickened breathing of the men, The fire's flame disappears beneath the greater light, forgotten and small. And in the midst of their fear, a voice speaks. It is clear and steady, carrying authority without force, peace without softness. It does not shout, nor does it whisper. It reaches each shepherd where he stands, cutting through fear like a hand through water. Do not be afraid. The words fall gently, yet they hold weight. They do not deny the fear. They address it. They name it, and in naming it, begin to loosen its grip. The shepherds remain trembling, but they listen. The voice continues, and with it comes a promise that shifts the night forever. I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all the people. The words hang in the air, luminous as the light itself. Good news, great joy for all. The shepherds exchange brief glances, eyes wide, unsure whether to believe what they hear. Such words are not spoken lightly, not in fields, not to men like them. The angel speaks again, and now the message becomes specific, grounded, near. To you is born this day, in the city of David, a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. The city of David. Bethlehem, the shepherds know it well, its streets and outskirts familiar to their feet. The message does not point to a distant place or time. It speaks of now, of here, of something already accomplished. The angel does not linger on explanation. Instead, a sign is given, simple, unmistakable. You will find a child wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger. A child. Not a ruler on a throne, not a warrior, not a priest. A child, wrapped, resting where animals feed. The sign is as humble as it is clear. The shepherds feel their fear giving way to astonishment. The pieces do not fit the patterns they know, and yet something within them recognizes the truth of it. The angel's words settle into the field, into the hearts of those who hear. The light remains, steady and encompassing. The shepherds do not move. They do not speak. The moment holds them, suspended between fear and wonder. The night that had been ordinary now feels charged, alive. The fields that had known countless quiet watches now stand as the threshold of revelation. The shepherds, who had expected nothing but another long vigil, find themselves addressed by heaven. Their hearts beat hard, but not only with fear. Something else has joined it. Hope, rising cautiously, like a flame protected from the wind. They do not yet understand, but they sense that they have been drawn into a story far larger than themselves. The angel's presence does not fade yet. The light continues to surround them, steady and patient. The message has been given, and its weight settles in the silence that follows. The shepherds remain still, listening not with their ears alone, but with their whole being. The field waits with them, the sheep quiet again. The stars above seem closer, as though leaning in to hear, and in that open field, under a sky filled with ancient light, the first words of joy spoken to the world find their listeners, not in halls of power, but among those who watch through the night, ready, without knowing it, to receive what God has done. The light does not withdraw at once. It lingers, filling the field with a brilliance that feels alive, as though the night itself has been gently opened. The shepherds remain where they are, caught between stillness and awe. Their fear has not vanished, but it has changed. It no longer presses in on them like a threat. It stands before them like a threshold. The angel's presence is steady, unhurried. The glow that surrounds him does not flicker or strain. It rests upon the ground, upon the men, upon the sheep, as though all are equally held within it. The shepherds feel seen, known, yet not judged. Their hearts beat fast, but their bodies no longer recoil. The words spoken have taken root. Fear, once sharp and consuming, begins to loosen its grip. It yields slowly, not through force but through assurance. The command not to be afraid does not echo as instruction alone. It arrives as permission. The shepherds breathe more deeply now, drawing in the light with the night air, allowing it to steady them. After these things, the angel's voice continues, unfolding the message with care. Each word seems to carry its own weight, not rushing to the next, but allowing space for understanding to awaken. The shepherds listen as men who have long waited for something unnamed, now finding themselves addressed directly. The good news spoken does not remain distant or abstract. It moves closer with each breath, shaping itself into a promise that touches their lives. A Savior has been born, not for a select few, not hidden in secrecy, but given openly, offered to all. The shepherds feel the wideness of it, the way the words stretch beyond their own fields and flocks. They think of the world beyond the hills, of cities and villages, of people burdened by fear, by labor, by longing. The message does not belong only to them, yet it has been entrusted to them first. This knowledge humbles them, even as it lifts them. The angel's light seems to deepen, not growing brighter, but richer, as though another presence draws near. The air itself feels fuller, charged with expectation. The shepherds sense that what they have heard is not the end of heaven's speech, but the beginning. And suddenly, the field is no longer held by one voice alone. Without warning, the sky opens further, and with it comes a multitude. The space above the shepherds fills with the presence of many angels, countless and radiant. They appear not as intruders, but as those who have always belonged there, now revealed. The heavens, once distant and silent, become alive with praise. The shepherds' eyes widen, their breath catching. Fear flickers again, but it is quickly overtaken by wonder. The sight is overwhelming, yet it does not crush them. It lifts them, drawing their gaze upward, beyond the familiar boundaries of earth. The angels do not rush or shout. Their presence unfolds like a vast gathering, ordered and harmonious. Light layers upon light, not blinding, but clarifying. The field below seems small now, yet not insignificant. It has become a meeting place between realms. And then the song begins. It rises, not as a melody learned, but as a truth spoken in unison. The sound does not travel only through the air. It seems to pass through the ground, through the bodies of those who hear it. The shepherds feel it in their bones, in the rhythm of their breath. Glory to God in the highest, the angels proclaim. The words do not strain upward. They rest easily, as though glory has always belonged there. The highest heavens resound with recognition, acknowledging what has already been done. God's work is complete in its beginning, and heaven responds with praise. And on earth peace, the song continues. The shepherds hear this and feel its weight. Peace is spoken not as wish, but as gift. Not as distant hope, but as something already set in motion. The words fall upon the field, upon the sheep, upon the men, as though blessing the very ground beneath their feet, goodwill among those upon whom his favor rests. The song gathers humanity within it, not dividing, not excluding. It speaks of favor not earned, but given. The shepherds sense that they themselves stand within its reach, that this peace has found them where they are. The song does not linger long, yet it feels timeless. Each word settles fully before giving way to the next. The angels do not repeat themselves. They do not explain. They proclaim. And the proclamation is enough. The night itself seems transformed by the sound. The darkness no longer feels empty or threatening. It becomes vast and gentle, capable of holding both mystery and meaning. The stars above appear brighter, as though reflecting the praise they have heard. The shepherds stand motionless, overwhelmed by the unity of sound and light. They do not speak to one another. No words could contain what they are witnessing. Their hearts are stretched wide, held open by awe. The sheep, sensing the calm that follows the song, grow quiet. The field breathes again, steady and deep. The angels remain for a moment longer, their presence filling the sky like a promise made visible. Then, as suddenly as they appeared, the heavenly host begins to withdraw. The light softens, not fading abruptly, but receding gently, as though being gathered back into the heavens. The song ceases, leaving behind a silence that hums with memory. The sky returns to its familiar depth. Stars take their places once more. The field grows dark again, though not as it was before. Something has been left behind, an echo, a knowing, a peace that lingers. The shepherds remain still, eyes lifted, hearts racing. They do not move at once. They let the silence settle, letting the moment complete itself. The fear that once ruled them has been replaced by something else entirely. A trembling joy that seeks expression. The night holds them in its quiet once more, but it is no longer ordinary. It has been touched by heaven, and the shepherds have been changed by what they have heard and seen. The fields, once only a place of work and watchfulness, now stand as the first ground to receive the song of peace. And the men who tend them find themselves entrusted with a message that will not let them remain as they were. The light has withdrawn, but the calling remains. The silence that follows the angel's departure is unlike the quiet that came before. It is deeper, fuller, carrying within it the memory of sound and light. The shepherds stand where they are, eyes still lifted, as though expecting the heavens to open again. Their bodies remain tense, but not from fear. They are held by wonder, uncertain how to step back into a world that feels suddenly altered. Slowly, one shepherd lowers his gaze. Another exhales a breath he did not know he was holding. The field looks the same. Dark grass, clustered sheep, faint embers of the fire, but it does not feel the same. The air itself seems gentler, as though peace has settled into it and refuses to leave. They look at one another now, searching faces for confirmation that what they witnessed was real. No one speaks at first. Words feel fragile, too small to bear the weight of what has been given. Their eyes are wide, reflecting starlight and something deeper still. After these things, one shepherd finally breaks the silence. His voice is low, unsteady, shaped by awe rather than doubt. He repeats the words he heard, not to question them, but to hold them again. A Savior, born this day in the city of David. As he speaks, the others nod slowly. The message settles further into them, moving from shock toward understanding. Fear, which had once seized them at the angel's appearing, now recedes like a shadow at dawn. It does not vanish entirely, but it no longer rules them. In its place rises a cautious joy, one that trembles not because it is uncertain, but because it is vast. They sense that they stand at the edge of something holy, and that stepping forward will change them. The sign given to them returns to their thoughts, a child, wrapped in cloths, lying in a manger. The simplicity of it steadies them. It anchors the glory they have seen to something they can seek, something near and tangible. The message does not send them upward, but inward, toward a town they know, toward a place as humble as their own lives. One shepherd glances toward Bethlehem, its outline faint against the night sky. He has walked its outskirts countless times, past its walls without thought. Now it seems different, as though it holds a secret glowing quietly within it. The distance between field and town feels suddenly small. They speak more freely now, voices overlapping softly. Questions arise, not in doubt, but in wonder. How can such glory lead to such humility? Why them? Why here? No answers come, yet none are demanded. The message itself feels sufficient, complete in its simplicity. The sheep stir again, sensing the movement among the men. The shepherds move among them instinctively, calming, guiding. Their hands know this work well. Even as their hearts are lifted into mystery, their bodies remain rooted in care. The ordinary does not fall away. It is drawn into something greater. After a moment, a shared resolve begins to form, unspoken but clear. The message was not given to be held alone. It calls for response, for movement. Good news seeks to be met with witness. The shepherds feel it stirring within them, urging them beyond the field. One by one, they voice what all are thinking. They will go. They will see. Not later. Not when the night is done. But now. The words come simply, without ceremony, yet they carry the weight of decision. They prepare quickly, though without haste. A few tend to the sheep, ensuring they are settled and safe. Others gather what is needed for the short journey. Their movements are purposeful, guided by excitement, restrained by reverence. This is not curiosity alone that drives them, but obedience born of awe. As they begin to walk, the path toward Bethlehem seems illuminated, though no new light appears. The memory of the angel's glory lingers, shaping their steps, giving them confidence. The night no longer feels threatening. It feels expectant, as though creation itself watches to see how they will respond. Their conversation continues as they walk, hushed but urgent. They recall the song, the words of peace spoken over earth. Each repetition deepens their sense of calling. The message is not abstract. It presses against their lives, asking to be carried forward. They pass familiar landmarks, stones, trees, bends in the path, now seen with new eyes. Everything feels closer, more connected. The fields behind them recede, yet they remain part of the journey, the place where heaven first spoke. Bethlehem draws nearer. Its lights flicker faintly, small points against the darkness. The shepherds' hearts beat faster, not from exertion, but from anticipation. They do not know what they will find beyond the sign that has been given, only that it will be enough. The fear that once rooted them to the ground has been transformed into motion. The night that once demanded watchfulness now invites witness. The shepherds walk on, carrying within them the echo of angels and the promise of peace. Behind them, the fields return to quiet. The sheep settle. The stars continue their slow turning. Ahead of them, a child rests in a manger, unaware that the first to seek him are drawing near. Led not by power or knowledge, but by obedience born of wonder. And so the response begins, not with proclamation, but with footsteps in the dark, guided by a word spoken from heaven, and received by hearts willing to go and see what has come to pass. The path into Bethlehem narrows as the shepherds draw closer, the open field giving way to stone and shadow. Their steps slow, not from uncertainty, but from reverence. Each man carries within him the words he has heard, turning them over like precious things entrusted to care. A sign has been given, simple and clear, and now they walk toward it with hearts awake. The town is quieter now than when the travelers first arrived. Lamps burn low behind shuttered windows. Voices have softened into murmurs or sleep. The streets hold the day's weariness, settled into corners and doorways. The shepherds move through it gently, aware that they carry something unseen, something that does not demand attention yet changes the air around them. They pause more than once, looking about, searching not for grandeur, but for humility. A child, the angel said, wrapped in cloths, lying in a manger. The sign does not point them to houses filled with warmth and voices, nor to places of honor. It guides their eyes toward what is low, overlooked, easily missed. After these things, they notice a shelter set apart from the main dwellings, quiet and unassuming. The scent of animals reaches them, familiar and grounding. One shepherd stops, his breath catching slightly. Something in the stillness of that place feels different, as though the night itself leans toward it. They draw nearer, peering into the dim light. At first, they see only what they expect: straw, rough walls, the shapes of animals resting. Then their eyes adjust, and they see the manger, and in it, a child. The sight arrests them. They do not rush forward. They do not speak. They stand at the threshold, hearts pounding, minds struggling to hold together what they have heard and what they now see. The sign is exactly as it was spoken, and in its simplicity, it overwhelms them. The child lies wrapped and still, his face peaceful, untouched by the night's chill. There is nothing outward to mark him as Savior, nothing that announces power or authority. And yet, the shepherds know. The certainty does not come from sight alone, but from the word that led them here, now fulfilled before their eyes. Mary looks up as they approach, her gaze calm, attentive. She does not recoil or question their presence. She seems to have been waiting, though she could not have known for whom. Joseph rises quietly, positioning himself protectively. Then, seeing the wonder on their faces, he relaxes, allowing them closer. The shepherds step forward slowly, removing their cloaks, lowering themselves near the manger. Their movements are careful, as though afraid to disturb what feels fragile and holy. One kneels. Another bows his head. A third simply stands, eyes fixed on the child, tears gathering without shame. They begin to speak then, softly, voices trembling. They tell what they have seen in the fields, of the light that broke the darkness, of the angel's words, of the song that filled the sky. Their story pours out not as performance, but as witness. Each sentence feels like an offering laid gently before the child. Mary listens, her heart quickening with recognition. The words they speak echo what she herself has heard and kept. She does not interrupt. She receives their testimony quietly, letting it join the treasures she already holds within her. Her eyes move between the shepherds and the child, seeing how heaven's message has reached beyond her alone. Joseph listens as well, awe deepening in him. He sees now that the wonder of this night is not confined to this shelter. It has already begun to spread, carried on the voices of those least expected. The shepherd's presence confirms what he has trusted, that God's work moves beyond human boundaries, finding its way into open hearts. The shepherds fall silent again, words exhausted. The shelter holds a deep quiet, broken only by the breathing of the child and the faint sounds of animals nearby. In this stillness, each man feels the weight of the moment settle fully upon him. They are not observers now. They are participants in something that will not release them unchanged. One shepherd reaches out slightly, then stops, his hand hovering in the hesitation. He draws it back, choosing reverence over touch. Another whispers a prayer of thanks, barely audible. Their responses differ, yet all are shaped by humility and joy. Mary leans forward and adjusts the cloth around the child, a small, tender movement. The shepherds watch, seeing in her not only a mother, but a witness like themselves. Together, they share this moment of recognition, each understanding in their own way that God has come near. The child stirs briefly, then rests again. The shepherd's hearts swell at the sight. This small movement feels like a blessing received. They do not need more signs. What has been given is enough. After a time, they begin to withdraw, sensing that the moment must be held lightly. Before they go, they speak once more, this time not to the child, but to Mary and Joseph, affirming what has been revealed to them all. Their voices are steadier now, strengthened by having seen. They step back into the night, leaving the shelter as they found it, quiet, humble, filled with peace. Yet they do not leave empty-handed. They carry with them a joy that seeks expression, a story that must be told. Behind them, Mary remains near the manger, her heart full. Joseph returns to his place, watching the child. The shepherd's footsteps fade into the distance, but the echo of their witness lingers, woven into the fabric of the night. The sign has been seen. The word has been confirmed, and the first witnesses return to the darkened streets, carrying light not in their hands but in their hearts, ready to let it spill into the world that waits, unaware, just beyond the next corner. The memory of the heavenly host remains vivid in the minds of the shepherds, even as their steps carry them away from the shelter. The sky has returned to its familiar darkness, yet it no longer feels empty. Where multitudes once stood in light, an unseen presence seems to linger, as though the praise spoken has settled into the fabric of the night itself. The song does not echo as sound, yet its meaning continues to move through the air. Glory has been spoken where it belongs, lifted beyond earth's reach, and peace has been named where it is most needed. The shepherds feel both truths woven together within them, inseparable, steady. What heaven declared has not vanished with the light. As they walk, each man carries fragments of the song within his heart. Some remember the opening words, others the promise that followed. Together, they hold the whole, even if none could repeat it perfectly. The unity of the angels' voices has left its mark, teaching them that praise is not measured by precision, but by surrender. They speak of it quietly as they go, careful not to disturb the sleeping town. One shepherd tries to describe the vastness of the host, how the sky itself seemed filled. Another struggles for words, then stops, shaking his head, knowing that what he saw cannot be contained by speech. They laugh softly at their own inadequacy, not in dismissal, but in wonder. After these things, the streets open before them, narrow passages winding between stone walls that have heard countless footsteps. The shepherds move through them as men changed, though outwardly they appear the same. No one stops them. No one asks where they have been. The world does not yet recognize what has taken place. The song of peace, however, continues to work within them. It settles into their breathing, slows their pace, steadies their thoughts. They sense that peace is not merely the absence of conflict, but a presence, a gift spoken into being. It does not erase hardship, but it reshapes it, offering a ground firm enough to stand upon. They remember how the angels spoke of goodwill, not earned, but bestowed. This understanding humbles them. They are men accustomed to labor, to earning their rest through vigilance and endurance. Yet this favor has come freely, unprompted, offered to them in the fields. It teaches them something new about God's way. Behind them, the shelter remains quiet. Mary sits near the manger, the shepherd's words still resonating in her heart. The song they described joins the other things she has kept: angel voices, promises, the weight and warmth of the child. She does not hear the heavenly host herself, yet she feels its truth confirmed in the witness of those who have. Joseph reflects as well, considering how the night has unfolded. The presence of angels, the song spoken over earth, the shepherd's arrival, all of it points beyond this moment, toward a future already stirring. He senses that this child's life will be marked by such reversals. Heaven speaking where earth least expects, glory resting where humility makes room. The child sleeps on, unaware of the praise spoken in his honor. His small chest rises and falls, steady and calm. The peace proclaimed by angels rests visibly in him, embodied in flesh, present without effort. The manger holds him as it did before, unchanged, yet now bearing the weight of heaven's song. Outside, the night continues its slow turning. The stars remain fixed, ancient witnesses to both silence and song. The fields beyond Bethlehem lie quiet again, yet they have been claimed as holy ground by what they have hosted. The shepherds know they will never look upon them the same way. As they reach the edge of the town, their voices grow a little freer. They begin to tell others they meet, those still awake, those stirring early, what they have seen and heard. Some listen with curiosity, others with skepticism, some with quiet amazement. The shepherds do not argue. They simply speak, letting the truth rest where it will. The song of the angels finds new expression in their telling. What was once proclaimed from heaven is now carried by human voices, imperfect yet willing. Glory is given again, this time through testimony. Peace extends its reach, one listener at a time. Mary hears faint voices beyond the shelter, distant but animated. She knows without seeing that the shepherds are already sharing what has been revealed. A gentle smile touches her face. She draws the child closer, feeling both the nearness of God and the widening of his work. The night has begun to give way to witness. Joseph steps outside briefly, listening to the sounds of the town. He senses movement, not of crowds, but of hearts being stirred. The angel's song has not ended. It has changed form. What was sung by multitudes now moves quietly through streets and homes, carried by those who have seen. The night air feels softer, as though peace itself has settled upon it. Even the stones underfoot seem less cold. The world remains as it was, ruled by powers unseen here, burdened by labor and uncertainty. Yet something has shifted at its center. The song has marked it. The shepherds return toward their fields eventually, their task not abandoned, but transformed. They walk with lighter steps, their watch renewed with purpose. The sheep will still need tending. The nights will still be long, yet they will keep watch now, with a deeper awareness, knowing that heaven has chosen such places to speak. The song lingers where it was first heard, but it also travels forward, woven into memory and hope. It will rise again in different forms, in different times, carried by those who remember that glory has come near and peace has been given. The night deepens toward dawn. Bethlehem rests between sleep and waking. The child remains in the manger, the quiet center of all that is unfolded. Above him, the sky holds its silence, rich with meaning. And the song of the angels, though no longer heard, continues to resonate. Glory held in heaven, peace moving across the earth, preparing the way for all that will yet be spoken, lived, and revealed. The shepherds move back through the narrow streets, their voices low but alive with wonder. Each step carries them farther from the shelter, and yet deeper into the meaning of what they have seen. The night does not resist them. It opens quietly, as though granting passage to those who now bear good news within them. They speak as they walk, not carefully rehearsed, but freely, letting joy find its own shape. One recounts the moment the light first broke upon the fields. Another lingers on the words of peace spoken over the earth. A third cannot move past the sight of the child, resting without defense, held by nothing but trust. Their testimonies overlap, woven together by awe. After these things they encounter others, travelers restless in the night, townsfolk rising early to tend their work. To some the shepherds speak openly. To others they offer only fragments. Each telling is shaped by the listener, by the moment, by the Spirit's quiet leading. They do not press belief. They simply bear witness, allowing the truth to stand on its own. Some listen and marvel. Others smile politely and turn away. A few pause, sensing something weighty beneath the shepherd's words. The responses vary, yet the shepherds are not discouraged. The joy they carry does not depend on being received. It has already taken root. As they near the edge of Bethlehem, the fields come back into view, dark and familiar. The sheep are still there, settled and safe, the night unchanged in its outward form. Yet the shepherds know that nothing here is quite the same. The ground they step upon feels marked by heaven's nearness, the silence now layered with memory. They return to their watch with renewed attentiveness. Each sound carries meaning. Each movement feels significant. The ordinary tasks of tending flocks are no longer separate from the holy. They have learned that God speaks not only in temples or thrones, but in fields and mangers, in night watches and humble signs. One shepherd looks up again at the stars, seeing them now with new eyes. They no longer feel distant or indifferent. They seem to belong to the same story that has unfolded among them. The heavens, once silent, have spoken, and that speech has changed how he listens to the night. Another shepherd sits by the fire, warming his hands. The flame flickers gently, echoing the light he saw earlier, smaller now, yet comforting. He reflects on the words of peace spoken over earth, wondering how such peace will unfold, where it will be felt, how it will take root in a world accustomed to struggle. They speak less as the hours pass, not because the wonder fades, but because it deepens. Joy settles into them like a steady warmth, no longer urgent to be expressed, content to abide. Their hearts are full, and fullness invites quiet. In the shelter, Mary rests again, the child close beside her. The shepherd's words remain with her, echoing softly within. She feels no need to add to them or to explain them. They confirm what she already knows and extend it beyond her own keeping. The story entrusted to her is already moving outward. Joseph, too, senses the widening circle. The night has brought witnesses, not to overwhelm them, but to remind them that this child's life will never be contained. Even now, in his first hours, he draws others toward himself, not by force, but by invitation. The child sleeps, his peace undisturbed. The world beyond the shelter stirs slowly toward morning. Somewhere, a rooster calls, Somewhere, a door opens. Dawn begins to gather its light, faint and patient. The shepherds keep watch until the sky begins to pale. When the first hint of light touches the horizon, it feels like an answer, a continuation of what has already been spoken. The angel's song has given way to the promise of day. Peace moves from proclamation into presence. They greet the dawn with quiet gratitude. No ceremony marks the moment, yet it feels complete. The night that brought revelation gives way to a morning shaped by it. The shepherds remain at their posts, faithful in the small things, carrying within them the knowledge that heaven has come near. In Bethlehem, the child stirs as morning approaches. Mary adjusts the cloth once more, her movements tender and sure. Joseph rises to tend the fire, to prepare for the day. Life resumes its gentle rhythm, now infused with sacred purpose. The song of peace does not fade with the night. It settles into the day, into the work of hands and the paths of feet. It waits to be discovered again in quiet moments, in faithful responses, in hearts willing to receive what God has given. And so the story continues, moving forward without haste, carried by those who have seen and those who will yet hear. The night has done its work. The dawn now carries it onward. The morning grows gently over the hills, its light thin at first, then widening, touching stone and field alike. The shepherds stand quietly as the day unfolds, their flocks stirring with the familiar restlessness of dawn. The night's wonders do not vanish with the stars. They remain, folded into memory, shaping how each man greets the light. The fields breathe again, awake to birdsong and movement. Dew clings to grass and wool, catching the early sun in brief flashes. The shepherds move among the sheep with practiced ease, their hands steady, their voices calm. Nothing outward has changed, yet everything feels newly given. Each task carries a quiet dignity, as though even the simplest work has been drawn into a larger purpose. After these things, the last traces of night fall away. The fire burns low, its embers glowing faintly. One shepherd stirs it, not for warmth alone, but as a way of marking the passage from what has been to what is now. The memory of angels feels close still, though the sky holds only light and cloud. They speak again of the moment when heaven opened, not urgently, but with reverence. Each telling brings new clarity, new gratitude. They do not embellish the story. They do not attempt to make it more convincing. They allow it to remain as it was given, clear, simple, sufficient. The angels are gone now, yet the shepherds sense that heaven has not withdrawn. The fields feel watched over, not in a way that stirs fear, but in a way that brings assurance. Peace has not departed with the light. It has settled, becoming part of the air they breathe. In Bethlehem, the streets awaken slowly. Doors open. Voices rise. The ordinary sounds of life return, layering themselves over the night's quiet. Those who heard the shepherds speak carry the words with them into the morning, unsure what to do with them, yet unable to forget. Wonder moves quietly through the town, passing from one heart to another without announcement. Mary remains near the child as the day begins. The first light falls upon his face, soft and golden. She watches the way it rests there, how it seems to recognize him. She does not speak. She simply receives the moment, letting it deepen what she already keeps within. Joseph steps outside briefly, surveying the town as it stirs. He hears voices, laughter, complaints, the sounds of life resuming. Nothing suggests that the world has shifted, and yet he knows it has. The child within the shelter behind him, is the hinge upon which all things will turn. He returns to Mary, bringing water, tending what needs tending. Their movements are quiet, purposeful. They do not hurry the day. They allow it to come to them, as the night had. Faithfulness remains their guide, steady and sufficient. The shepherds glance toward Bethlehem once more, the shelter now hidden among stone and shadow. They do not need to see it again. What they sought has already been found. The child's image rests within them, clear and unshaken. They will carry it with them into every night watch that follows. As the morning strengthens, they lift their voices in praise, not as song, but as gratitude spoken aloud. They glorify God for what they have seen and heard, for the faithfulness of His word, for the nearness of His promise. Their praise is simple, shaped by wonder rather than form. Others pass by and hear them, some pausing, some not. The shepherds do not mind. Praise does not require an audience. It flows naturally from hearts that have been changed. The sun rises higher, warming the fields, drawing life upward. Shadows shorten. The day claims its place. The shepherds continue their work, their joy steady, their watch renewed. The fields that once held fear now hold memory. The night that once demanded vigilance now offers testimony. In the shelter, the child wakes and stirs, greeting the day without knowing it. Mary lifts him gently, holding him close. She feels the quiet strength of His presence, the promise carried in His small frame. She does not look ahead yet. She remains here. Faithful in the present, Joseph watches them, his heart settled. The night's wonders have given way to the work of day, and he is ready to receive it. He knows the path ahead will not be easy, yet he trusts the one who has already led them thus far. The angel's song has faded from sound, but not from truth. Glory remains where it belongs. Peace continues its slow work upon the earth. The dawn carries both forward, gentle and sure. And so the light strengthens, the world awakens, and those who have seen the beginning of God's promise take their places once more within ordinary time, changed, watchful, and ready for what will yet unfold. The shepherds do not linger in the fields as the day advances. Though their tasks remain, their hearts are already moving. The words spoken in the night have taken root, and from that root rises an urgency that is not hurried, but alive. It draws them forward, shaping their steps even as the sun climbs higher. They gather themselves again, entrusting the flocks to careful watch, arranging what must be arranged. Their movements are practiced, efficient, yet touched now by something more than routine. Each glance toward Bethlehem carries with it a quiet certainty. What they have seen cannot be left behind as a memory alone. It calls them again, inviting witness to deepen into testimony. After these things, they set out once more, not as men startled by fear, but as men drawn by joy. Their pace is quickened, though not careless. The path they follow feels shorter now, as though the distance has already been crossed in their hearts. The hills no longer seem barriers, but gentle guides leading them onward. The town greets them in fuller light. The streets are busier now, voices rising with the day's demands. Merchants call out. Children move between doorways. Travelers adjust their burdens and prepare to depart. Life presses on, unaware of the quiet urgency carried by these men who move through it with purpose. The shepherds speak as they go, not loudly, but freely. They share again what has been entrusted to them, their words shaped by clarity rather than excitement. The wonder has settled into something steadier, something capable of being carried without strain. They do not embellish. They do not urge belief. They simply say what has come to pass. Some listen with curiosity. Others pause, sensing that something more than a tale is being offered. A few shake their heads and continue on, minds already turned toward their own concerns. The shepherds do not measure the success of their telling. They are content to speak and to move on, letting the truth find its own place. Their steps lead them back toward the shelter, though they do not announce themselves this time. They approach with the reverence of those who know they are entering holy ground, even if it appears no different from before. The animals are there still. The space remains humble, yet everything feels charged with meaning. Mary looks up as they arrive, recognizing them at once. There is no surprise in her eyes, only a quiet welcome. Joseph nods to them, a shared understanding passing between them without words. These men are no longer strangers. They are part of the unfolding, woven into the story by obedience and faith. The shepherds draw near again, their earlier awe now joined by tenderness. They look upon the child once more, their hearts steady, their wonder deepened. What was first seen in astonishment is now held with reverence. The child's nearness invites not fear, but care. They speak again, though more softly now, their words fewer. There is less need to explain. The truth has already been received. In the silence between them, something profound passes. Recognition, gratitude, shared humility. Heaven has spoken, and earth has answered. Mary listens, her heart receiving all that is said and unsaid. She senses the widening of the circle, how the gift given to her is already moving outward, carried by voices and feet. She does not cling to the moment. She allows it to breathe, to expand beyond her keeping. Joseph watches the shepherds as they stand near the manger. He sees in them a reflection of his own path. Men called into something they did not seek, responding with trust rather than understanding. He feels strengthened by their presence, reminded that God's work is not solitary, but shared. After a time, the shepherds step back once more. They do not linger beyond what feels right. The moment has been honored. The witness has been given. Now it must be lived. They bow their heads briefly, offering thanks not in words alone, but in posture and stillness. As they leave, their steps are lighter than before. The joy they carry no longer feels fragile. It has taken shape, grounded by what they have seen. They move back into the town and toward the fields, prepared to carry this joy into every ordinary task that awaits them. The streets receive them again, unchanged, yet different. The shepherd's presence leaves no mark upon stone or dust, yet something unseen moves with them. They greet those they pass with kindness, shaped by gratitude. Their voices carry warmth. Their eyes hold light. In the fields, the sheep lift their heads as the men return. The shepherds take up their staffs once more, resuming their watch. Yet even this familiar posture feels altered. Their watching now holds expectation. Their guarding now includes hope. The night will come again, but it will not be empty. They speak among themselves of what lies ahead, not with certainty, but with trust. They know the world beyond the fields will continue as it has, filled with labor and struggle. Yet they also know that something has been set in motion that cannot be undone. The child in Bethlehem rests still, unaware of the paths he has already changed. Mary remains near him, her heart full. Joseph stands watch. The shepherds return to their flocks, their joy intact. And the day continues, carrying forward the quiet urgency of heaven's call. an invitation answered not by power or haste, but by faithful movement, by hearts willing to go quickly when God speaks, and to return changed, bearing peace into the places they have always known. The shelter grows quiet again after the shepherds depart, holding within it the soft rhythm of breathing and the steady presence of life newly begun. Mary remains near the manger, her attention fixed not from vigilance alone, but from a deepening bond that draws her continually toward the child. Each sound he makes, each small movement, feels like a language she is only beginning to learn. Joseph settles into stillness nearby, allowing the moment to breathe. He senses that what has unfolded cannot be hurried or contained. The shepherd's witness has confirmed what was spoken to them in silence, and now that witness rests gently within the space, like incense lingering after prayer. After these things, the child stirs again, a small sound escaping his lips. Mary leans forward at once, lifting him carefully. She cradles him against her, feeling the warmth of his body, the trust with which he rests in her arms. The simplicity of the act fills her with wonder. God has come so near that he must be held. She looks down at him, searching his face, not for signs or answers, but for presence. His eyes open briefly, unfocused, then close again. The moment is fleeting, yet it leaves an imprint upon her heart. She knows this gaze will return to her in memory, in prayer, in moments yet unseen. Joseph watches them, his heart full and steady. He feels no need to speak. The quiet holds meaning enough. He reflects on how quickly the world has already begun to respond. Shepherds coming, voices spreading, wonder stirring beyond these walls. And still, here in this place, all remains humble and contained. The manger stands empty now, waiting patiently. Straw lies arranged, bearing the shape of where the child had rested. It seems to hold a memory of its own, as though even the wood and grass have been marked by the weight of glory entrusted to them. Nothing here is discarded or forgotten. Everything has been drawn into purpose. Mary returns the child gently to the manger, her hands lingering a moment longer than necessary. She smooths the cloth, then withdraws slowly, reluctant, yet trusting. She knows he must rest. She knows she must rest as well. The rhythm of care teaches her when to hold and when to release. After a time, voices sound faintly beyond the shelter. Townsfolk passing, children calling, the day unfolding. The sounds feel distant, as though softened by the presence within. The world continues, unaware that its center has been quietly redefined. Mary sits back, her body easing against the wall. Fatigue settles into her bones, yet it is accompanied by peace. She allows herself to close her eyes for a moment, not from escape, but from trust. Even in rest, she remains attentive, her heart open. Joseph stands watch, his posture relaxed but alert. He feels a deep gratitude for the shepherds who came, for the confirmation they brought, for the way their testimony has widened this moment beyond solitude. He senses that others will come in time, drawn not by command, but by something gentler. The child breathes steadily, the sound barely audible, yet it anchors everything around him. Mary opens her eyes again, drawn back by that sound. She watches, marveling that the one through whom all things were made now depends upon such small rhythms. She thinks of the shepherds' faces as they spoke, of their awe and joy. Their witness has joined her own, adding voices to the story God is telling. She does not feel diminished by this sharing. She feels strengthened. The gift given to her is already becoming a gift to many. Joseph moves closer, sitting beside her. Their shoulders touch briefly. a simple gesture of shared presence. They exchange a glance, quiet and knowing. Words are unnecessary. The path ahead remains unknown, yet the one who guides them lies within arm's reach. The light in the shelter shifts as the sun moves higher. Shadows shorten. The day advances. Mary senses that this night, though past, will remain ever present. It has shaped something within her that will not fade. She has seen God's faithfulness made flesh, and she will carry that vision forward. The shepherds' voices echo faintly in memory, telling, praising, glorifying. Their response has given shape to what God has done, reminding her that revelation invites response, and response invites community. This child will not walk alone. Even now, he is surrounded by witnesses. The child stirs again, a small sound breaking the quiet. Mary leans forward instinctively, ready to respond. Care flows naturally, without effort. Love, she realizes, is already teaching her how to move forward, one small act at a time. Joseph rises briefly to tend the fire, then returns. The flame responds, steadying. The shelter remains simple, unchanged in appearance, yet transformed in meaning. It has become a place of testimony, of first witness, of quiet faithfulness. As the hours pass, the shelter holds its peace. The world outside moves on, carrying the story outward through shepherds and listeners alike. Here, within this humble space, Mary and Joseph remain, faithful in the small, attentive to the present, holding and being held by the mystery entrusted to them. And in the manger, the child rests, his presence drawing all things toward himself, not by force, but by the quiet power of being seen, of being known, of being received. The witness has begun, and it will not cease. Word begins to move through Bethlehem in quiet ways, carried not by proclamation, but by conversation. It travels from mouth to ear, from ear to heart, changing shape slightly as it goes, yet retaining its core of wonder. Those who hear speak of shepherds returning from the fields with faces alight, of strange joy resting upon them, of words spoken that linger beyond understanding. Some listen while tending morning tasks, hands busy, minds half attentive. Others pause, sensing a weight beneath the telling that invites stillness. The town receives the news unevenly, according to the readiness of each heart. There is no single response, only many small ones. Raised brows, thoughtful silences, quiet marveling. After these things, a few make their way toward the shelter, drawn by curiosity or something deeper they cannot yet name. They do not come in crowds. They come singly or in pairs, hesitantly, as though unsure whether such a place can hold what they have heard. Some stop short, choosing not to intrude. Others peer in quietly, respectful of the stillness they sense within. Mary notices these glances, these brief pauses. She does not feel threatened by them. She feels a gentle widening, as though the circle of witness is growing just as it must. She does not speak unless spoken to. Her presence alone seems enough, steady and calm, inviting trust without demand. Joseph greets those who come with a nod or a word, offering what assurance he can. He does not explain more than is asked. He allows the story to unfold at its own pace, trusting that what has been given will make itself known without force. He senses that this child's life will always be marked by such restraint, revealed enough to invite, hidden enough to require faith. Those who do enter the shelter do so quietly, careful not to disturb. They see the manger, the child resting there, the simplicity of it all. Some feel disappointment at the ordinariness. Others feel something catch within them, a recognition they cannot explain. They marvel not at what they see, but at what they sense. They speak softly of the shepherd's words, of angels and songs, of peace spoken over the earth. Mary listens, receiving their telling as she received the others. She stores each response alongside the rest, not comparing, not measuring, simply keeping. The varied reactions become part of the story she holds, teaching her that God's work meets each heart where it is. Joseph notices how some leave quietly, unchanged in outward ways, yet thoughtful. Others linger, reluctant to go, as though drawn by something beyond sight. He understands now that witness does not compel. It invites. What happens next belongs to God. The child remains mostly unaware of the movement around him. He sleeps and wakes according to his own rhythm, undisturbed by the attention. His peace anchors the space, offering rest to those who draw near. Even those who leave skeptical feel the weight of that peace, carrying it with them into the day. Mary watches the comings and goings, her heart steady. She senses that this pattern will repeat itself throughout her son's life. People approaching with hope, with doubt, with longing. Some staying, some turning away. She does not try to control the responses. She trusts the one who has begun this work to bring it to completion. As the day advances, the town grows busier. Responsibilities call. Travelers depart. Life resumes its pace. Yet beneath it all, a quiet current moves, shaped by what has been spoken and seen. Wonder has entered Bethlehem, and though it does not announce itself loudly, it will not be easily forgotten. Mary returns her attention again and again to the child, grounding herself in his presence. When the voices outside grow louder, she listens to his breathing. When questions stir within her, she rests her gaze upon his face. He is her answer, even when she does not yet understand the question. Joseph moves between the shelter and the town, gathering what is needed, arranging the practical matters of life. Each task feels newly weighted, not burdensome, but purposeful. He senses that faithfulness now will prepare them for what lies ahead, though the path remains hidden. Those who hear and marvel speak of it later among themselves. Some dismiss it as imagination, stirred by weariness and night air. Others hold the memory carefully, returning to it in quiet moments. The story begins to take root in unexpected places, beyond the shelter, beyond the fields, carried by hearts more than by words. Mary notices how even those who do not fully believe still marvel. The reaction itself feels significant. Wonder, she senses, is a doorway. It does not require certainty to open. It requires only openness, a willingness to pause before the mystery of what God has done. The shelter remains humble, unchanged in form. Straw is still straw. Wood remains wood. Yet those who enter feel the difference. Something has passed through this place, leaving it marked, not by display, but by presence. The child rests at its center, the quiet axis around which all reactions turn. As evening begins to gather again, Mary reflects on the day that has followed the night. So much has unfolded, and yet so much remains ahead. She does not rush her thoughts forward. She allows the day to settle, to become part of what she keeps. Joseph joins her, sitting near the manger. They share the silence, listening to the sounds of the town easing toward rest. The child sleeps again, held by peace. The marveling of many has come and gone, leaving behind a quiet awareness that something holy has entered ordinary time. And as Bethlehem prepares for another night, those who have heard carry the story with them, some lightly, some carefully, all changed in ways they may not yet recognize. The witness continues, spreading not by force but by the gentle awakening of hearts willing to marvel at what God has done. The evening settles once more over the fields, and the shepherds return fully to their watch. The sky darkens gradually, not with the shock of night, but with the gentle certainty of day giving way. The sheep gather close again, guided by voices they trust, and the familiar rhythms of tending resume. Yet the men who keep watch are not the same as they were before. They speak little now, not because their joy has faded, but because it has found its place. Praise rises from them naturally, woven into their work, into their steps along the field's edge. They glorify God, not with lifted hands alone, but with renewed attentiveness, with care shaped by gratitude. Every small act feels like response. After these things, one shepherd pauses and looks out across the land, seeing it as if for the first time. The hills are dark silhouettes against the sky, the fields quiet and vast. Once, these spaces felt only like duty. Now they feel like invitation. Heaven has spoken here. The memory cannot be undone. They speak again of what they saw, not to convince one another, but to remember. Each retelling sharpens the image of the child in the manger, the light in the field, the song in the sky. Their words are fewer now, distilled, but no less true. What remains is essential. Their hearts overflow with praise, not loud, not structured, but steady. They glorify God for the faithfulness of His word, for the nearness of His promise, for the mercy that chose such places and people. They feel honored, not elevated above others, but included. God has seen them where they were. The night holds no fear now. Wolves may still roam, storms may still come, but the shepherd's watch is anchored in something deeper than vigilance. They have seen that God enters the darkness without hesitation, bringing peace rather than terror. This knowledge steadies them through the long hours. In Bethlehem, the shelter grows quiet again as the town settles into rest. Mary rocks the child gently when he stirs, her movements unhurried, shaped by trust. Joseph lies nearby, his rest light but peaceful. The day's marveling has faded into silence, yet its meaning remains. Mary reflects on all that has been spoken and seen. The shepherd's joy, the townsfolk's wonder, the angel's message, all of it gathers within her. She does not try to arrange it into answers. She holds it as one holds water in cupped hands, aware that understanding will come in time. Joseph wakes briefly and listens to the night. The sounds are familiar. Wind against stone, distant footsteps, the breathing of animals. He feels no need to rise. The presence within the shelter reassures him. God has drawn near, and that nearness keeps watch better than he ever could. The child sleeps, his small body relaxed, his breath steady. The peace spoken by angels rests visibly in him, embodied and complete. He does not yet speak or act. He simply is, and in his being, the promise continues to unfold. The shepherds, returning to their fields, carry their praise with them into the night. They walk the boundaries of the flock with lighter steps, their eyes lifted often toward the sky. Each star feels like a reminder, each silence an invitation to trust. They glorify God aloud now and then, not fearing how they may sound. Their praise has outgrown self-consciousness. It flows from what they have seen and cannot forget. The fields receive it gladly, as they receive the light and the song. Life continues in its ordinary patterns. Sheep are counted. Fires are tended. Sleep comes in turns. Yet beneath these rhythms, a deeper current moves. The shepherds sense it, steady and sure. The world has been visited, and nothing will remain untouched. In Bethlehem, the child turns slightly in his sleep. Mary adjusts the cloth and rests her hand gently upon him, her touch light and sure. She feels the weight of tomorrow waiting beyond the night, yet she is not afraid. What has begun in humility will continue in faithfulness. Joseph breathes deeply, resting fully now. The path ahead remains hidden, but the one who guides them rests within reach. This knowledge settles him more surely than any plan. The night stretches on, calm and watchful. The fields and the shelter share the same sky, the same quiet. Praise rises from one and peace rests in the other, joined by the promise spoken into the world. And so the shepherds return, glorifying and praising God for all they have heard and seen, just as it was told to them. Their joy does not fade with the night. It becomes part of who they are, shaping their days and watches to come. The story moves forward now, not with sudden change, but with steady faithfulness. Light has entered the darkness. Peace has been given. And those who have witnessed it carry it onward, step by faithful step, into the world that waits. The night holds steady, neither pressing forward nor drawing back, as though content to rest around what has been given. Bethlehem sleeps again, its streets quiet, its walls unmoved by what they have sheltered. The fields lie dark beneath the stars, and the shepherds keep their watch with hearts changed, their praise woven into the rhythm of their care. Within the humble shelter, the child remains at rest. His small body lies where it has since the night's turning, wrapped and held, breathing gently. Nothing outward declares his significance. There is no sign upon his brow, no mark upon his hands. And yet, all that has unfolded bends toward him, as streams toward their source. Mary sits near, her presence calm and attentive. She no longer measures time by hours, but by moments of care, when the child stirs, when he rests, when the quiet deepens. She feels no urgency to move beyond this place. The world may shift and stir, but here, faithfulness is enough. Joseph remains close, his watch unspoken, yet complete. He has learned that strength does not always announce itself. It stands quietly, ready, trusting the one who has already guided them through uncertainty into peace. He feels no need to look ahead tonight. What has been entrusted to him is here. After these things, the wind moves softly across the hills, brushing the fields and the town alike. It carries no message now, only the continuation of life as it has always been. And yet, within that ordinary movement, something new abides. The breath of the world feels altered, as though it now carries a gentler weight. The stars remain fixed in their courses, ancient witnesses to promises long spoken. They shine over the shelter and the fields without distinction. The heavens do not strain to announce what has come. They simply keep watch, content to have played their part. The shepherds, scattered across the fields, move quietly among their flocks. From time to time, one lifts his eyes toward Bethlehem, not with longing, but with gratitude. He knows where the child rests. That knowledge steadies him. The night feels complete. In the town, a few remain awake, thoughts lingering on what they have heard. Others sleep without disturbance. The story does not force itself upon anyone. It waits, patient as seed in the soil, trusting the seasons to come. Mary looks once more upon the child, committing the stillness to her heart. She knows this peace will be tested, that the path ahead will open into challenge and cost. Yet she also knows that what has begun here cannot be undone. God has chosen to dwell among his people, not briefly, but fully. The child stirs and settles again, his breath even, his presence quiet. He has come not to overwhelm, but to remain, not to seize, but to be received. The light rests without noise, content to shine in the darkness, whether the darkness understands it or not. Joseph adjusts the cloth once more, then sits back. The shelter holds its silence. Straw and wood, earth and breath, all share the same space. Nothing is excluded. Everything is gathered. The night stretches toward dawn once again, unhurried. The world turns as it always has, yet its center has shifted. What was distant has drawn near. What was promised has taken flesh. And in that nearness, peace settles, not as an ending, but as a beginning. The fields remain. The town remains. The child remains. And with him, the quiet assurance that God has chosen to dwell with humanity, not in splendor alone, but in humility, in patience, in the slow unfolding of faithful love. The night breathes softly now, its work complete. Light and darkness rest together without conflict, as though reconciled by what has come into the world. The hills stand silent. The fields keep watch. The town sleeps. In the manger, peace lies breathing. There is no command to move, no urgency to speak. Only rest remains, rest shaped by trust, by presence, by the knowledge that God has drawn near and will not depart. What began in quiet has not ended. It has settled, like seed beneath the soil, waiting for its hour to rise. And so the heart may rest as well, knowing that the light has come gently and will remain.